On the ground to centre wing he goes. A bevy of Sturt players are there. Jason Ziller is there as well, so don't count on the double blues getting it. Should have been a push. No. The umpire not paying it and says he'll have a bounce down. So Romy, as I mentioned, is playing everywhere. Looked to be at centre half forward a moment ago. Next thing, he's taking big marks in defence, so he's in pretty good form at the moment.
Yes, he certainly is, and he'd be loving this too, because he was on the interchange last year and also in the reserves. Away go the double blues. Trimboli, good kick. And Arnold out onto a lead, and that was a good lead as well. Arnold takes it. He's about 35 out.
Doesn't it make a difference when you can get it in there quickly and more particularly avoid that back-playing ruckman? Now, Negri's been sitting back. He can't cover everywhere, of course, and if you get it in there quickly, there are some spaces. And it gave Arnold good opportunity to run into one of them, and now a chance from, as Mark said, 35.
Not sure why, but Spears coming off. There's the kick by Arnold. And they need this, and they've got it. Lukosius comes on as all of that was happening. Arnold gets his second. It was a searching kick by Trimboli, and it's paid off. 7-3 to 3-2.
I have a suspicion that Jason Spear might have a leg injury out of all of that from one of the contests that he just took on with Arnold, and it's possibly one of the reasons also that Arnold was managing to get as free as he was, because Spear looked to be headed for the boundary line. So some damage for the Eagles side. Hope for their sake that there's nothing too long-term about that injury, because he's such an important player to them. Well,
Spear, he's very good, isn't he? Lukosius goes down to Arnold. 7-3, the Eagles. The double blues fighting back 3-2. And they're going into attack here again. The ball up at left half forward, knocked away by Williams, knocked down ground again. Oh, Williams, magnificent football. The wingman from 45 metres out. Oh, he's hit the post. A wonderful build-up. And Williams, that was terrific stuff. He started it and ended it.
Just a quick surveillance of the crowd there. There's plenty of parochial Sturt supporters around the place. They all sort of bowed forward and then rocked back into their seat when that hit the post, as if to say, bad luck. And indeed it was bad luck, because it wasn't far off being a very, very good score. This is Trimboli.
Just lifted a bit, haven't they, the double blues, in the last minute or so?
And this is one of the players who's done that. A young 19-year-old in just his 17th game. Punches it in, though, and look at that. 4 Eagles players. Pretty hard for Jody Arnold when he's outnumbered like that. Switching sides is a good idea. There's Kluzak. Has worked down a long way. He'll be looking for King on the far side of the ground. Baker works back. Goes past King, and Baker now with a chance to set something up. There are plenty of Sturt players. Protection from Brooks, but they've made a mess of it, haven't they? This is now Rogers. So much poise, so much time. Into the path there of Devine. He can't do much with it. Brooks is under all sorts of siege. Players in a blue, gold and green jumper come from all over the place. Just forgot what colour they were for a moment. And this is Lennon. Now the double blues out of trouble through thread goal.
Just call them the Eagles, I think, Steve. Over there is Trimboli. Awkward bounce for him. Oh, well done by Neiman. Set that up magnificently. Ziller across to his brother. That was Stephen to Jason. Now the intention was good. Threadgold was the man who just filled a hole in front of the goal square. Johns over the top to Underwood. So they run it away now, the double blues, with a bit of confidence and poise. Long kick. Over there is number 31, and that's Justin Brooks. Got himself into trouble a couple of moments ago. This is, I was going to say, a little bit better, but it wasn't too good at all, was it? Because Chapman was able to give it to Morfitt. Morfitt's kick ill-directed. Now getting back is Taylor. He'll pick this up, and he's missed. Oh dear, oh dear. I wonder what he's thinking. You can bet your life he's not pleased with that. He was about 10 metres out, no angle, and just maybe took it a bit casually. 7-4 to 3-3.
He looks cool about it, but that would hurt because he had so much time. Perhaps, if anything, a little lack of communication. Stephen Ziller was running alongside, and you'd suspect that he'd be screaming instruction and screaming that there was time. Andrew Taylor, in the end, just looked to rush it, and as a consequence, it went through for a point. 7-4 the Eagles. A let-off for Sturt there, 3-3-21.
Margin back to 25, so they have jagged it back a little. This is Threadgold from the southern end of the ground, looking for a number of players down there. One of them was, not sure, that's Sutherland. Anyway, Pays kicks the ball back in front of the goal square. At the back is Johns. Now he desperately needs some support, and the umpire says there was a throw in there, so the double blues are shade lucky there, and Johns will clear.
Didn't do that at all badly, because he just paddled it forward, hoped for the grab of the jumper when it came. He made sure that it was known. Looks to be following at the moment, although it's hard to define that. Sometimes at half back, sometimes in the middle of the ground. Either way, he's getting plenty of touches. So too is John Richter, who has a new lease of life playing on the ball. His options are very few and far between as well, and as the siren goes, his indecision means he won't get a kick of the football. And at quarter time here at Adelaide Oval, the Eagles, a tardy start, but they really burst away with an inspired burst of football through that middle part of the term. They went along to 7-4-46. Sturt are 3-3-21. The margin is 25 points. And all the action, of course, with you on this round 4 clash from Adelaide Oval on a picturesque and perfect day on ABC Sport. Start of the second term, and the Eagles are enjoying a 25-point advantage. The Double Blues would love to get off to a good start here, just as they did in the first term. Negri lays it back, but Johns gets it away. Quickly up they go. This is Viney. Good mark. Well, that's exactly what they're looking for. And Viney, I think, with his first touch for the game, we were saying at quarter time how he looked out of it and not in position, but all of a sudden, into the game he comes.
Just the 1 or 2 touches in that first quarter, Stephen.
He was played second fiddle very much to Jay Viney down to Jody Arnold down there. And he'd love to kick this and get the Blues off to a very healthy start in the second term. Great looking kick. Straight through, and Viney gets his first. The Double Blues get their fourth and close the gap. It's now 19 points to difference.
Yes, and it all started in the centre. Johns with that kick. It was brilliant stuff, and this is where they were falling down in the early stages of that first quarter. And it was a good kick, and Viney right on the end of it. Good, strong mark and a very good kick. Straight as a die. His first, and the Double Blues, that's a good start for them. Early stages, second quarter, 7-4 to 4-3.
Double Blues doing it in fits and starts at the moment. However, the Eagles always look poised and able to do it when they want to. Johns again out of the centre square. He's doing well. Another free kick down there. I think Viney's got another chance. Well, hasn't this been a game of fluctuating fortunes? The Double Blues got out of the blocks. They kicked the first 2 quick goals of the game. And then the Eagles just took over. And that could be for nothing other than holding the man, I would think. Didn't look to be too high, but if anything, just slightly retarded. Let's have a look. Almost action replay, isn't it, from exactly the same spot. How's the kick? Just the same? No, not any reaction from the crowd, which would indicate it's offline. Through for a behind. So now 18 points the difference. 2 minutes into the second term. And some positive signs for the Blues in the early stages of the second quarter. 3
straight kicks. Lukosius now playing at full-back from the southern end. Romy Negri is target. Johns over there. And there'll be a ball up, a throw-in rather, on that far side of the ground at left half forward for the Double Blues.
And the reason I was saying that about Jay Viney a little earlier about looking out of position is that he's such a good runner. He provides good run, good creativity, and to have him up ahead of the play, despite the fact that he's had the last couple of possessions up there, just seems a little bit of wastage.
Here's Pays to centre wing. Filippo outnumbered 2-1. And the Double Blues now through Lennon. Gets it across to his teammate in Brooks. And Brooks kicks toward left half forward, or right half forward, but Devine takes a very strong mark for the Eagles. He clears it away towards centre wing. Nico was the target. Well, there's a collision down there with him and Corey Gray. The Double Blues now with a big opportunity through Sutherland. Gets it back to Gray. Gray about 85 metres out. Long bomb looking down there for Viney again. He's into the back of Negri. Umpire didn't see it that way. Picked up by Arnold. A high kick. Not a lot of distance. Jay Viney down there. He's got a chance here, although Devine comes in. Devine doing good work. He's over the football. The ball is eventually pushed out of bounds. Left forward pocket. Good sign, though, because the Eagles were on the rampage. Just a poor kick here, Stephen, in front of us. And the Double Blues pushed it back in again.
Jody Arnold just couldn't get around onto his favoured left leg. He didn't have any space. It was good body work from Viney in the end. Couldn't make anything of it. This looked to be on the far side. Chris Williams gets it back into the corridor. Good work. Working back there is Lukosius, I think, who's onto the ground now. Player caught is Morfitt. What's the umpire said? No chance, and a bounce down, so a let off for Scotty Morfitt, having a run on the ball. Normally, of course, he plays the majority of his football through the half-forward line, and I suspect would very much enjoy getting a run down the ground. 18
points to margin, the Double Blues. A big chance here to score. They've got it into their attacking zone, and the umpire comes across and pays a free kick for throwing. Morfitt not happy with that. The Double Blues now about 35 metres out as Johns. He's on a 45-degree angle. Can he kick it from there, Steve?
think you'd have to say yes, because there's a slight breeze that is coming over, if anything, his left shoulder, but almost directly behind him, so that will help. He's not normally the best kick, but having said all of that, there you go. Just coming, in fact, probably looking at those flags, be right over his back, so it'll give him every good chance.
Still 18 points the difference. There's John's kick. It drifts to the left-hand side and goes through for a behind. The margin, 17 points, but the sign's good again in the early stages, as was the case in the first quarter, Stephen, where Sturt started so well.
Yes, I think it's significant that at the moment the Double Blues can put 2 and 3 players together, but they just can't keep stringing them together, and that's a sign of a side that is starting to get it together, but it's not quite there. And of course, the league heavyweights in the Eagles, they'll make you pay for any error. Haven't got into full gear yet, in the top gear, but they really they look threatening. This is Nickel. That kick hugs the boundary line. How close is it? Not over, but now it is off the hands of John Richter.
Gee, they had a bit of height there, didn't they? Nickel to Negri was the intention.
Could almost play a game of keepings off, couldn't they, if they just popped it up in the air? They're very, very tall. Lean it. Negri up over the top, and he said there's a holding in there, but oh, gee, I don't know, I can't. They're very hard to see. When you start making those up, it makes for a stop-start game. Lean it, punches it in. Player fell over behind the player. Was he pushed? Was Arnold, but the umpires found a free, and to veteran Peter Schwarz it will go. Chips it across. This is Lukosius, who they mentioned before the game in the Eagles camp had shed 7 kilograms over the summer, which is very, very good work. Obviously a fair bit of hard work. Morfitt, far side of the ground. Zilla provides the runner, pushes on again, so the umpires are getting into the action. Plenty of free kicks. Far side, it's Sturt Nickel. Nickel now. Filippo it is. Pops it into the 50-metre line. They look the same from this distance, that's for sure. This is Stephen Zilla. Plenty of touches for him early. King. Tottenham, good work. Pays now sets it up. Here's a chance. They've got Neiman one out with Kitschke, and he's got it. Has to be paid that. And if you want a lesson in how to use the body, that's exactly it. Just poke the rear end out and gave himself a little bit of space. And Kitschke, even for all of his height and reach, wasn't ever going to get that one.
Just needs to get in front, though, Kitschke, doesn't he, to give himself a chance. Sure, the punch is the option there, but as you well described there, Stephen, he made it very difficult for him.
Yes, it's a good point. Just as you're a defender doesn't mean you have to play from behind. Let's have a look at Neiman. The umpire doesn't move. Not a bad start from David, is it? That's 4 goals on the board. The Eagles just get themselves out to a slightly larger lead. It's now 21, 23 points the difference. 8-4 to 4-5.
Yes, the margin almost 4 goals. And Pay's kick was very good to the front of the goal, as we see Spear getting ready to come back on. Good, strong mark in front. Neiman, nothing Kitschke could do about that, try as he might. So David Neiman, a wonderful start, 4 goals.
Negri and Leanett, they've been at it all day so far, and you suspect that Leanett's going to have to do the job on his own. The Eagles have got plenty of other choices. Look at that, for a good feel for the game from Chapman to Zilla. This is Taylor. Doesn't come any better than that. Absolutely pinpoint accuracy, and there's not a thing that Chris Threadgold could have done about that. Not a thing, because that was right down the barrel, and Andrew Taylor would have had to make a real mess of that to have dropped it. Let's have a look at him on the kick now. Drags it off the inside. So 2 points now for Taylor.
Should have 2 goals, really, shouldn't he?
He should, because at the southern end, as we saw in the first quarter, he rushed a kick. It should have been a goal. Nonetheless, a let-off for the Blues. 8-5 to 4-5. Nearly 8 minutes into the second term.
That's 4 straight kicks, 24 points the margin. Threadgold preparing to kick this ball out from the northern end of the ground. Gets pretty good distance, keeps it low, looking for Leanett. Through his hands at the back of the pack is Richter. Surely that's a free kick. It is to the ruck rover. As Stephen said, a new lease of life. I can remember seeing him in defence 2 or 3 years ago. Obbs with a sweeping hand pass, a good one too. Brooks a little chip pass, making it awkward. This is Copeland. He's in all sorts of trouble. Bang, he's gone, holding the ball.
They're going to frustrate their supporters. You can hear them all around us at the moment. Come on, as if to say, do something positive. 3 possessions inside of 30 metres.
Too short, wasn't it?
It's much too short. It's going to hurt them. This is now Justin Brooks. Every now and again they do a flash of something very direct and very positive, but not this time. Gee, Justin Brooks is found. Couldn't have found him any better in Scott Morfitt. The run is from Rogers, I think. Chip pass. All the poise in the world. And has Jason Zilla. Lifts the eyes. Plenty of options for him. One of them looks to be King.
Ooh.
And what's happened there? The player's run over the mark, and he'll get a free kick further down the ground. So that will bring him to about 35 metres out. Jason King in his first game. From Lobethal, a 20-year-old, and from the same part of the country as the Ziller brothers. So there's a good breeding ground for them there. Let's have a look at him. Head stays down. It's all pretty positive. Just offline, in fact, very close. It's hit the post. 3 for 1 behind, so the Eagles are 8-6. Sturt are 4-5.
Margin ekes out to 25 points. There's Threadgold again from fullback. This time he's surveying the scene on his left. Just looking for options. Not a lot there. Eventually he decides to go pretty well down the middle. That's a little further across to the far side, as it turned out. Over there is Trimboli. The target initially was Richter, and Trimboli couldn't control it, and eventually it went out of bounds, eastern side of the Adelaide Oval. 10 minutes second quarter. 25 points the Eagles lead. Good start by Sturt in this quarter. Good start by them in the first quarter, but the Eagles gradually fought back in that first term, and they've had that ascendancy. Here's Hayes, Taylor. Yes, good mark. 2 bites at it. Now he's got someone loose. He kicks to the front of the square. It's Neiman one-on-one. Kitchke at the back. Neiman went through his hands. Eventually Obbs trying to clean up, and does. Runs across the face of goal into the back pocket. One bounce, then a little pass. He goes short again. Leanit's his target. Well done. And this is Trimboli.
Trimboli, very quick, isn't he? To half forward he goes. Geddes the run. That's a positive piece of play from the Double Blues. Lift the eyes. Where's Brooks? He's in short. In long, though, he's messed around with it, and he's put every player out of position. Noel keeps leading. Gives him every good chance. Chapman does well. Nicola's there. The run is provided by the burly Lukosius. Away he goes through the middle of the ground. This is direct football. Ziller is going to be outpointed in terms of height. Lennon caught one high and gets a free kick.
Some good signs by Sturt, Stephen, though, aren't there?
Well, there are, because every now and again they're just putting it together in terms of 4 and 5 plays and going down the middle of the ground. But when they start chipping around, very, very hard. Away they go. Half forward flank. This is Chapman. Leanit's in there. Brooks is in there. The umpires found another free kick. Really playing their part, the umpires. An enormous number of free kicks being paid. The Eagles being forced wide this time. It'll take some leg speed to pull that one back in. And the umpire says a throw in on the far side of the ground. So the Eagles at the moment are 8-6. Sturt are 4-5. 54-29, a 25-point advantage to the Eagles.
Yes, they just can't finish it, can they, the Double Blues? As you said, they string 3 and 4 players together, but just can't quite finish it.
No, it's not. It's fluent, but there's not enough of them, and it's a sign that their confidence is growing. They're just not quite pulling it off. This is now Nicol, very solid from halfback. Now the Eagles with a chance. They're straight down the middle of the ground again, which is good work. Neiman's strength is enormous in there. He's going to take some stopping by Kitchke, that's for sure, because he's got 4 goals on the board so far. And you'd have to say, from Hayden Bunton's point of view, Sturt coach shows an enormous amount of confidence in Kitchke in one sense, that he leaves him there, but the other question is, who else would they put there?
He's been an enigma over a period of time, hasn't he?
Well, he has, and you probably couldn't phrase it any better than that. An enigma, or a puzzling sort of a person, is about the best way of putting it. Some days fantastic, some days missing. You know, he's a match winner on one day, and then he breaks your heart the next. So
without putting him into a category or comparing him directly with another player, Coffey is in that same category, isn't he, from Central District?
Certainly is, a little bit the same. Sutherland, Ziller, here's a battle of leg speed. Sutherland runs it to the line, and that's a touchdown. Far side of the ground. Scotty Sutherland, there's not much of him, and in his first year of league football, he copped an absolute battering. He throws himself in fearlessly, and really puts his body on the line. Marvellous example for his teammates. This is Andrew Johns. Now Underwood. Little burst of speed from Undies. He'd be happy with that. Left leg, centre wing he goes. But this man is playing a superb game at centre half back, Sturt Nicol.
Yes, off to another man who's about 6 foot tall. Taller than that, in fact, Negri. Oh, well done by Leanit. Just filled the hole. Did particularly well. He's got Obbs now loose. Obbs getting away from Kluzak. He's a good 6 or 7 metres in front of him. Look at him go. 3, 4 bounces. Well done by Obbs. Long kick into the forward line. Was it wasted? Well, it's still with the Double Blues. They've got the run. No, Baker just couldn't make it. And it is out of bounds, right forward pocket.
Damien Obbs just sweeping across the screen. He's won his position handsomely, and I thought that Andrew Payes had swapped sides in the first term. what's happened is that Pays has actually been shifted off of him, so there's a compliment to Andrew Obbs. And Kluzak has switched sides and come across to pick up number 20 for Sturt.
That was a very good burst of speed, wasn't it? Richter around, Copeland around the corner. This is an awkward bounce. It almost bounced through, but Lukosius got his big hand in front and was able to knock it through for a behind.
54-30, 24 points the difference. Lukosius, spear. I'm sure if he comes back onto the ground, we'll go to full back. Negri's the player coming off. Neiman takes the ball. Looks as though he might be coming into the ruck, and Lukosius can be released to go down the ground. Far side, here's Pays. Beaten early, but he looks good in full flight, doesn't he? Gets it into the full forward area. Dropping back and taking a good mark is Lennon. Now, Chris Threadgold, there's not much there. One of the players is Leanett. Now, Obbs should make something of this. He does. If the ball sits for him, he'll be away, but watch out for the tackle of Zilla.
Again.
Very, very quick. He's a renowned half-forward. That is possibly the most awkward-looking kick I've ever seen in my life. It ends up with Scott Sutherland, though, who's besieged by a couple of Eagles players. The protection is provided by Richter. Now up to the full forward line. Arnold for a chance. The Eagles are under some pressure now. This is Schwarz. Well done by Archie, was it, who's onto the ground and takes a great mark.
Courage.
With the flight of the ball, that is real courage. Look at this. Two players around him. Knee up, and it's just the way to protect yourself. The knee came up. Let's have a look at him now. 30 metres out. And even Mark Aston hangs his head. I'm sure that Archie would be devastated by that. There's nothing worse. When you take a big mark in football, I can tell you to go back and nail the goal is the complete response. But when you miss it, it's terrible.
So here's Spear again. Southern end of the ground, back on the ground again. Good kick. Lean it at the back. He got a fist to it. Fortuitously it falls to the back and Trimboli. Awkward kick. Chance now for Sutherland. Got it off to Archie. He's had a couple of touches. Good gather there by Sutherland again. Now he's given his forwards every possible chance, and that's a very good mark to Arnold. Oh, well done. Good body work. Excellent mark.
Look at this for some strength. Jason Spear back onto the ground. He's had hold of the jumper as well. Welcome back to the game. So Sturt are making a change. Archie is off of the ground. Can suspect only for missing that goal. Number 14 is Jeremy Stagg. He's coming on as Jody Arnold lines up for his third.
He'd be unlucky, wouldn't you? Great mark by Archie, and then off because he misses the goal. Here's Arnold. He's directly in front. He shouldn't miss this, surely. Left footer, and it's through. Well, the double blues, they stay in the hunt. 3 goals to Arnold, and the margin, 17 points.
It's only the double blues, what's that, their third goal for the quarter. Second goal for the quarter. And Arnold's providing most of the inspiration down in that full forward line. Jay Viney flashed into the game in that early part of the second term, but just doesn't look right down there. Arnold, when he's left one-on-one, looks good. But he's so very, very strong. If they can get it down there quickly, he's just the tonic for them because he's really very, very mobile as well.
Well, you were saying that Viney is more a runner, so he's somewhat restricted in that forward pocket.
Well, I'm surprised that he's there because Hayden Bunton tried him last year and it didn't work. He's gone back to that formula, which is surprising. This is Philippe, couldn't get it away. Another chance for them though, because the rebounce went straight to the arms of an Eagle, ends up with Totham far side, and Pays is starting to work his way into the game. Takes the mark on the 50-metre line. Now he's weighing this up. He's not only looking into the sun, but his kick will be into what breeze there is. He has 1-1. Kicked 1 in the first term. I think it'll take Andrew's very best kick from there. Has a look at it, right up to the square. Is it going to carry? Not quite. Punch through for 1 behind. So the Eagles are along to 8-7, 3 goals clear of Sturt, who are on 5-7, 18 minutes into the second term.
And it's 18 points the difference. Here's Threadgold once again going to that far side. He's a good kick. Corey Gray, the target out there. Well done by Stephen Zilla. Too much pace, and then over the top to Pays. They're into attack once again. The double blues defenders on full alert. There's no defender within cooey of Jason Zilla. Kicks to the front of the pack. Down there is Lukosius. And it's out of bounds. Gee, he looks like Taylor, doesn't he? But he's a bit bulkier than Taylor. But you were saying that he's taken about 6 or 8 kilos off.
Yes, it represents an enormous amount of hard work over the summer, and it's not an easy thing to do to burst your way into this team when they've got so many big players who are very capable, and Lawrence Shackey's injury has given him a chance. He does look the same, but he's gone from full back to full forward, it would seem, now that Spear's back on the ground. Underwood, half forward, the target is Obbs. In fact, it's Geddes, who is a little taller. And Nicol, who's one of the very best so far for the Eagles, runs it to the line.
Yes, and Neiman, of course, into the ruck with Negri coming off. So that's the reason for the switch, I guess, although it all started with Spear.
Just an example, isn't it, of the great flexibility that they've got. Bukosius goes from one end of the ground to the other. Neiman can go from one end of the ground to the other. Taylor's versatile. Nicol can play anywhere. So, as I mentioned this morning, it's not too many worries for Bruce Winder, who must think this coaching's pretty easy.
Yes, they can swap it around. There's no doubt about that. Wonderful conditions. Good crowd here too. A lot of Sturt supporters, because it's been such an enterprising start for them in season 1994. Here's Kluzak getting a valuable touch on centre wing towards centre half forward. Morfitt there, outnumbered 2 or 3 to 1. Eventually the flick pass comes out, well done. Richter now providing the run out wide as Trimboli, and he's held up by Pays, and I think that would be 25 metres. No. Well, if that wasn't a 25 metre, I'll go he. Trimboli on the defensive side at centre. A 19-year-old. Stevens already wrapped him up. Thinks he's a pretty good player. Kicks toward the centre half forward. Down there is Williams. It comes to the side. Well pushed forward, or pushed back out of the danger zone by Schwarz. They pack up over the football, and there'll be a ball up at left half forward. No, it's a free kick, and it's play on. It's an Eagles free kick, and Tottenham's going to relieve the pressure.
Got it from Rogers, who came up with a smile on his face as if to say, I think I might have given that one away, but he ended up getting it. Lennon gets a hand to it. Lennon, just out of reach of Underwood, showing a bit more dash this year. Andrew puts it in towards the centre half forward area. A battle of players sees a free kick once again. Now Schwarz has given it away and is having more than 1 or 2 words to say, but will go to Jay Viney. Make your own mind up about that. I think what Jay did was to get himself in front and then lean back on it. Either way, he's got the kick.
You don't think Schwarz is saying to David Elliott, oh, yeah, sorry about that. I made a bit of a mess of that. I won't do